It is just gone sort of 11:05, which means it's time for our first ever GRN virtual coffee club, brought to you by the Graduate Recruiters Network. It is so lovely to see some of you. I think some familiar faces, which is really good to see. So I guess the coffee club kind of came around because obviously, as you know, we do the sort of quarterly GRN events, and there was clearly an appetite to have something sort of in between, just to have a bit of a chat about. I think we're all facing a lot of challenges in this market. It's great to chat about it and make people feel a little bit better about things. So it's really good to see some of you. I've also got my colleague Gabby on the call. So she is more sort of, I guess, front of house. She's talking to all the graduates every single day, whereas I do a lot more sort of client stuff. So she might be able to give you some insight if you have any. So what I'll do is just skip to the next slide. Some of you probably already know me, but my name's Katie. I'm a Client Partnerships Manager at the Graduate Recruitment Bureau. We are the company, of course, behind the GRN events that you attend. But yeah, lovely to meet you all. But without further ado, let's get to the agenda. So I appreciate I sent this sort of round beforehand. It is very much an informal agenda. We can go off on tangents, whatever. So keen to discuss reflection on 2023 campaign hiring, talk about the challenges, talk about the wins, any insights that we've all had. The main points that I'm going to talk about are competitive market and counter offers. Me and Zoe were just talking about that. It is an absolute nightmare at the moment. And salaries and benefits packages. What on earth is going on? Salaries have just gone completely through the roof. So it'd be good to catch up with all of you about that. And to actually just talk about the successes. What have the wins been this year? Because although there has been challenges, there is always wins as well. And then it'd be good to hear about your plans for 2024. If you're doing anything innovative, etc. Because I think that is one thing my clients always ask me. They say, Katie, what do you be doing that's innovative? Or what are you doing that's dynamic? And I'm like, oh, well, we are doing lots of bits, but nothing sort of, life-changing. And then, yeah, it'd be just really good to obviously catch up about how your recruitment's going in general. So I will kick things off by saying we are finding it, at GRB, we're going 25 years now. We have never had as many counter offers as we have this year. Graduates are being fussier, and to be honest, they can afford to be. I was on a webinar the other day, and according to a company called Universum, which are a employer branding expert, they said 52% of graduates are now reading up on the company reviews, Glassdoor, offering sort of overall, whereas 5 years ago a graduate would just come out of university and be like, right, just need a graduate job, really. They're now researching heavily, social responsibility, all these different elements that just weren't a thing 5 years ago. So they are being fussier. And it is a sort of fight of who's got the best benefits package. And I think that's not just salary, that's overall benefits package. And I don't know about, yourselves and your teams, but I think thanks to Google, etc., it's so hard to compete with benefits package. They've got these amazing offices, beer fridges in the office. It is difficult. But yeah, it's hard. And I was actually chatting to a lady who works at one of the big four yesterday, and she said they have about a 60% fill rate due to candidates taking counter offers. And she said there was a candidate this year that would have started in September that accepted 3 offers from one company each from the big four, and then they decided the month before they started sort of which one they wanted to choose. So I don't know how anyone else is finding this competitive graduate market and counter offers. I don't know if anyone wants to sort of kick off with that.
Well, we're not there yet for this year, so we're in the process of interviewing. However, we've noticed quite a big drop from the initial application stage, the number of people that have actually interacted with the first step, and then moving forward from that. So out of, for example, in our tech intake, so that's software developers and testers, we had about we sent about 70 to 80. We had about 150 CVs. We screened it down to 70 or 80. I can't remember right now. And we sent them an assessment to be done via Codility. And out of that, we got, I think, 17 responses. And out of the 17, 10 actually got back to me. I messaged them after that to inform them that we wanted to invite them to interview, and 10 replied. I'm like, even the 6 that took the time to do the test, like, don't you want to see what's next at that point? Like, you've done the test, you might as well come to the interview. So we've noticed that. But last year, in the last year's intake, we noticed a lot of counter offers, or offers that were dropped because they got more competitive offers that were higher in salary, or closer in terms of location, offering a better flexibility. So it has happened last year as well. So we started noticing last year.
Yeah. Zoe?
Yeah, similar to Federica, we've not really, obviously it's a bit too early for 2023. We have had people decline our offers as soon as we've made them because they've received another offer, or it's not quite in line with what they were looking for. Weirdly, they went all the way through the process, but okay. But yeah, last year was definitely the toughest year for us. And a lot of what we found is that, yes, there was a lot of what we gathered towards the end of, right before people were starting. Yes, I've been going to all these assessment centres, I've kind of accepted all of these offers, and now I've decided actually I'm going to go with this firm. And we always all sort of ask, why? And we found that the graduates are very vague, or they don't like to say where they're going or why they're going. And we said, look, we're not going to sort of hold it against you, but it's just really good feedback for us, So if it's because I accepted a job and it's close to home, and we obviously don't have an office there, I appreciate that. But if it's something such as actually they're going to pay me £5,000 a year more,
you need to know that.
Yeah, we can feed that back to our executive team and say, look, we are not competitive with our salaries, and that's why we're losing offers. So we've been trying to do that a lot more this year. Some of the graduates have been a little bit more open with saying, actually, no, I've gone into a completely different industry. Whether or not they have, we don't know. They might just be saying that. But yeah, last year it did seem that salary was the big thing. One candidate in particular did come to me and say, look, I applied for this other job. It is financially way better, and I'm going to go for that. And I was like, do you know what? That's absolutely fine.
Fair enough. Yeah.
If that's what you want, that's not a problem. And we're very open. We actually advertise our salaries. So
that's really good.
We put it on the website. It's on the job description. And when we went back out on campus last year, we were very open and saying, yep, if you're in London, this is your salary. If you're in Newcastle, this is your salary. And actually, our trainees get a lot of pay rises in 1 year as well. I think they usually get about 4 pay rises. So it's pretty good. But we don't have some of the other benefits that other companies might have. I'm trying to think, what is it?
Beer fridge, bean bags, table tennis.
No, don't have any of that. I think our new office in Newcastle might have some of that. So London would be very jealous.
Yeah.
But obviously we do have a great pension. We've got the civil service pension, which is always a really nice thing. But graduates aren't interested in that at the age of 23,
and as well,
24.
I think as well, the companies that we work with, public sector is safe. So the lot of companies we work with, they say to graduates, this is a very safe employment. It's not going to sort of go out of fashion, sort of thing. So that's, I guess, one thing that I've noticed. Laura, I don't know if you've got anything to sort of add to that.
Yeah, it was really agreeing with both Federica and Zoe. I feel like this year actually for me hasn't been as bad in terms of kind of once we've made offers having the dropouts, whereas obviously last year it was insane the amount of dropouts we had obviously after offer stage. But I am finding that in terms of we're getting a lot of applications, but in terms of kind of application to then assessment centre stage, we're getting huge dropouts of people just not obviously responding. I think similar to Federica, I think we had about 150 people apply, probably shortlisted it down to about 60. And then I think in the end, we only had like 10 people, again, show for the assessment centre. So it seems to be I don't know if it's just, they're kind of applying for anything and everything, which I guess you would do as a graduate, wouldn't you? I think once you've kind of graduated, you're just kind of looking at whatever's out there. But yeah, I'm just finding it is that stage that's really difficult, actually getting people to
really
come to
hard.
the assessments. And I think one of the issues we definitely have, we're quite old fashioned in the sense that all ours are in person, our assessment centres, rather than virtually, which I think because ours is a massive kind of sales programme, we have to look at how they interact with people and in group settings and things like that, which we find quite hard to do virtually. But I mean, it's something that I want to look at and trying to do more of an online one, because I think that would help us capture more people, definitely. But yeah, it's similar there, where I think we've not had as many dropouts off a stage, with luckily, touch wood. But yeah, I think in terms of kind of from application stage to getting people in, and yeah, it's really poor. But it was the same last year as it is this year. It doesn't seem to have picked up.
I think it's with what I've noticed with grads, it's the constant chivying they need to kind of go through the process. I mean, that's what a lot of the stuff that Gabby does is in a recruitment process. Someone's not completed the test, picking up the phone. Hi, we've noticed that you've not completed your online test. And then the next stage, they've not booked an interview. Hi, we've noticed you've not booked an interview. It's like constant chivying. I don't know if it's because someone told me the other day that because of the cost of living crisis, students are now currently having to have lots of different jobs on the go because they can't afford their sort of life at university without that. So there's not much time. That's one thing I heard on a webinar the other day. But I feel like students have always kind of worked at uni. So I don't know if that's sort of true or not, but it's so tricky, isn't it? Because like you said, you're getting all of these applications, yet why aren't any sort of moving through the process? It's so tricky, isn't it?
Yeah, I think just to add as well, I think last year one of the big things I was seeing in terms of people not accepting offers was actually due to them wanting to go travelling. And I don't know if because of COVID and sort of the years previous, because obviously a lot of grads and students haven't had the opportunity. They were all now taking that up. So I don't know if it's going to be a similar thing this year as well. But yeah, I found a lot of that last year.
We found that as well, actually. Counter offers, actually, they're just off traveling, which I do get. They spent 2 years of their degree in lockdown. I totally get that. But counter offer wise, I'm trying to think. Obviously, Gabby, chip in anytime if I say anything wrong or you want to add anything. I'd say main reasons are salary. One of our biggest supermarket clients, they put their tech salaries up by $5,000 this year because they just said we're not competing. They were getting so many counter offers. And I'm trying to think of the other reasons people were taking counter offers. I think overall benefits package. If one place has got, if there's two salaries that are the same sort of job, but one just has a few jazzier benefits, they probably will go with that one. That is the bottom line. And I think due to social media, they are just being more fussy because they're almost seeing what is possible. So they're just being fussier and, Glassdoor and everything. I mean, I'd never looked at Glassdoor when I was a graduate. Everyone seems to now. I don't know if anyone wants to add anything to that before I talk sort of a bit more about sort of average salaries and everything.
Yeah, I mean, last year with the offers that we got, so we have a standard package that we offer at graduates, and we never really had any issues. We look at it yearly to see if it needs to be updated, and normally it's fine. And then last year we started getting rejections, basically the clients on the offers because they got 5 to 10 grand higher, and I was like, who's paying this kind of money to graduates? Because like that's like high offers. Like it's concerning in a way, because like we are inflating the market for like it's one thing to want to pay them fairly, and I understand that, because of course you don't want to underpay and make them put them in the position that they cannot afford leaving. But it's one thing to do that, and one thing to pay salaries that are normally paid to experienced people, because that kind of just inflates the market, and then it inflates the expectations. Then the reality is that then they'll finish their graduate program and they're going to be placed much higher than a lot of other people, and then they're going to struggle in the market, because if you have 2 years of experience and you're coming to me asking for like 50,000-60,000, that's going to be unrealistic. So it's a bit concerning to see this kind of numbers on the market, in my opinion.
It is.
I also feel like grads have gotten a bit more bold with what they're asking for. I feel like they also inflating what other offers they're getting, and then when you actually have a conversation with them, it's not that much more of an attractive offer, but they're trying to push you up a lot more in what you're offering, which I feel like never used to happen as much.
Absolutely, but I think it's also the way they inflate it. So we hire graduates globally, and I think one of the most striking situations that I experienced recently was in Czech Republic. A candidate came back to me and gave me an expectation that is aligned with the salary of a senior manager.
It's just ridiculous.
It threw that number at me, and I was like, "I'm sorry, you mean monthly?" It was like, "Yeah." It's like, that is high. It's like, no, I think that's fair. No, you have no experience. But like, he was so confident in that. And I'm like, I understand you want to ask for more money, but also be realistic in the money that you're asking. Because if you throw away that number, my first reaction is going to be no. And then I told him, look, we're paying this amount. That's not realistic. And I was like, oh, yeah, I'm fine with that too. I'm like, you're losing credibility because you're clearly trying to push me to get you a salary that is not going to happen, and then you'll take whatever I give you. So it's like, at that point, when you come across like this, it doesn't even, we don't even want to proceed with you.
It's not working in your favor.
Like, you're starting off in a very bad way. We're not going to be like, oh yeah, sure, let's because we immediately are thinking, okay, if this is how it starts, how it's going to go moving forward, because it's just, you're not presenting yourself well at the end of the day.
It's one thing knowing your worth, but then it's just being realistic, isn't it? And I remember coming out of uni as a grad and a company saying to me, what's your expected salary? And I said, to be honest, I don't care. I just want to know that I'm going to develop and I will be earning good money at some point. I didn't care what I started on, but it seems that's gone completely out the window.
Yeah, it's like, as long as I can afford rent and food,
yeah,
and
I don't care.
bills, it's fine. I'm starting. I don't have any experience. It'll be fine.
No.
And I wasn't making a whole lot of money when I started. Like, my base was horrifying. But it's how you start. And I think the salaries are still better placed now than they were a few years ago. So it's not like they're being underpaid. They're just exaggerating.
Yeah, one of those. And with sort of going on to salaries and benefits packages, what is going on? The average salary, graduate salary in 2022 was £28,563 per year. Obviously, that depends on industry. Someone in investment banking is going to earn more than someone on, maybe a retail graduate scheme. But this is increasing rapidly. And similar to what you sort of just said, Federica, I actually spoke to my colleague Jen. She's been working in graduate recruitment for 20 years, and a computer science graduate, I know they're very sought after, said that their expected starting salary was 100 grand. £100,000 per year. And Jen was just gobsmacked, to say the least.
So is that straight out of university?
Yep, straight out of university. So I thought I'd share that little insight with you. But actually, the average salary last year for a grad was £28,563. That is not half bad for a graduate, I don't think. I think I would have been incredibly happy coming out of university on that. But what is going on? I'd say what is going on is that graduate recruitment has become so competitive. Everyone can kind of get a degree now. It's become way more competitive to get a graduate role. Therefore, they're all sort of fighting over these different roles. And I think companies are having to make their offering a lot more attractive in order to get the graduates they want. I don't know if any of you have had to sort of change your benefits package or salaries at all this year to kind of keep up with that sort of rise.
Well, we we offer 30,000 to graduates, and then we have an end of fixed term bonus, so that we haven't had issues across the board. The only issues that we faced with, for example, was with developers, that they came back with 35,000, 40,000 offers, and like, we're not going to offer that to a graduate. I'm sorry. I think we're paying well enough for a graduate position, so I don't think we're going to be increasing that. But other than that, I think across the other professions, we haven't really seen that, because they come back with a lot more realistic expectations. Like, even when talking to them, they're like, yeah, I'm expecting 25 to 28. So that's perfectly fine. And then you come to me and you say, I'm expecting 40,000. That's like, dude,
Yeah. And it's how do SMEs in particular compete with this? You know, how do they compete with these huge benefits packages? I think one key thing that I've noticed with graduates is they are so keen on progression that if a company, maybe they're offering us slightly less, but they're saying, look, in 2 years though, you will see yourself in X, Y, and Z role, as long as they know they're going to progress. That's normally a sort of good benefit for them. I mean, social responsibility is also becoming a big one, you know, with the whole environmental crisis sort of recently. Grads like to know that a company is socially responsible.
Yeah.
Lots of these different things. I've just seen Amit's wrote in the chat. Let's have a look. It's on directly. So won't have had. Oh, no worries, Amit. You can just join in. That's fine. But yeah, I think benefits packages is just becoming so competitive and it's so tricky. Gabby, I don't know if you have any more insight into any sort of, if grad has had a counter offer, you know, what that counter offer has been.
Yeah, no, I was going to say the progression, that's been, I'd say like 90% of the candidates I speak to, that's one of the first things they say that they look for is that sort of progression. And I think that then means that they don't mind having that smaller salary if they know that they will be able to progress within the company and not just stay in the same role basically. And otherwise, even sustainability, that's come up even more recently. They just want to make sure that they work for a company that's either got already some plans to be more sustainable or have that in mind at some point in the future. But that's definitely been another big one more recently.
Gen Zs love thinking they're sort of making a difference, making a change, all of that. Zoe, I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
It was just sort of thinking about the whole progression piece. I think after last year we were really trying to think about what we could do to make our offering a lot more attractive. I mean, I think what we'd been doing was just sort of selling the whole accountancy training scheme, and then we were like, actually no, you can go and do an accountancy scheme anywhere. We want to show you why you should work for the NAO, you know, what it is that we have to offer the taxpayer. So that was kind of our approach when we went out on university. So we went out to university this year, but also talking about the progression piece. So we've really played on that this year. So we said, right, your starting salary in London is going to be just over 31,000. You know, you get annual increases, but you also get special increases. So every time you pass your exams, you know, you get this special increase, which again, sort of is a nice incentive for them. We said, but in 2.5 years, you will be an exam qualified accountant. And then once you finish your technical training at the end of the 3 years, you'll be promoted. And the salary band for that is 55,000. So Brilliant. I think that's really good for a brand new graduate straight out of uni. In 3 years' time, they're going to be on, well, at that point it's 55, you know, it'll obviously have gone up in 3 years' time.
Do you tell them that, Zoe, on the job adverts? Okay, good. I was going to say, you should definitely tell them that. Yeah.
So we didn't used to. So that's why we thought, right, we need to change our approach. Let's talk about that. We talk a lot about development. I mean, we obviously we're funded by Parliament. So a lot of the money that we get is all about spending it on development for the staff. So not just the trainees, but all staff. And that's the thing that we've been trying to play on as well. And again, we're really trying to sort of put across, you know, you should be banging down the door to want to come and work for the NEO and looking at how we hold government to account for how they're spending our money, your money. You know, you're going to be a taxpayer. Don't you want to know where your money's going? I do.
I don't know if I don't think I want to know.
Actually, no, it can be a bit depressing actually to know.
Yeah, exactly. No, thank you.
But that is a really nice offering. I have to it sounds very attractive, you know, from if you were a graduate thinking that in 3 years that's the kind of salary that you're getting. Like, who would say no to that?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, probably the ones that won 100,000 now.
Yeah, oh God, yeah. How can we compete with that, honestly? But even so, I've got to say, my colleagues that work on the experience hire side of things, we have a lot of tech roles going, and we really struggle to fill those roles. Really struggle. And I think it's because it is so competitive. And obviously, Katie just mentioning that salary, that just goes to show we can't compete with those kind of salaries in the private sector. So
I think it's
hard,
so
isn't
like
it?
I think it's so industry specific. I work in consulting, and like we'll 40K is like a decent salary, and they get a sign-on bonus, you know, for a graduate, which I think is incredible. But then some people do have counter offers that are more than that in the consulting industry, you know, and there's perks that come with consulting, but there's, you know, I think it's high a salary, but then there's other companies who are offering more kind of a thing, which is crazy.
I think what we get taught in our sort of marketing and employer brand training is looking at a job advert. A grad needs to look at it when they say, what's in it for me? And they need to see there is enough on there to be like, actually, yeah, this is enough sort of for me. It's just so difficult to compete with other companies. But I think as well, whoever's designing the job adverts thinking about, why do I work here? Why do I enjoy working here? And putting that on the job advert to attract graduates. I mean, anything that's going to show off the company as well, any sort of D&I awards, any recruitment videos, anything like that that's going to attract your graduates will be beneficial. But yeah, on that benefits package, as many things as you can think of that is a benefit. And what we try and do is put them in order of what a grad would like. So we try and put pensions sort of down the bottom, because obviously a graduate, like you said, Zoe, doesn't really care about their pension, hopefully, because they're young. But yeah, I mean, benefits packages are a tricky thing. But yeah, before I move on to sort of wins, does anyone else have anything they want to add to the sort of salaries and benefits packages?
Well, I mean, we have something, it's more applicable to the entire kind of employees population, but we do offer a constant training. So we have access to Coursera that is fully covered by the company. And then depending on the profession that they join in, they might have some professional qualifications that they get. And that has usually been quite positively, received by the applicants and then eventually the graduates, because they ask a lot about that too. How can we develop? What's your approach to development? So I feel that has worked fairly well. We also have 1 day that they can take off for social responsibility kind of thing, so they can take a day off for charity work or things like that, and that's paid by us. So they also appreciate that aspect, because it kind of shows that there is that commitment, which they care quite a bit about.
That's really good. I think any charity days, anything like that is a huge benefit. So anything, yeah, like that you can add to your job adverts will be beneficial.
Something else I've noticed as well is how important the training is to them, and even just having that support from people within the team. So whether that's like weekly meetings or like a mentorship type of scheme within the company, I think that's another massive thing, that they know that they can be supported at the beginning when they don't have maybe that work experience yet, and it's a bit less daunting, I guess, to them. So that's another big one, I think, to focus on.
That's a good one, actually, and I think that's a very Gen Z thing as well. It's this sort of bit more hand holding, perhaps a bit of a hangover from the pandemic. They do sort of need more support. Graduates are asking about mentors, weekly sort of touching base with managers. What's that company, what do they do? Like mentors, and buddy scheme. That's always really good. But that's what I was thinking, buddy scheme. So they have a graduate that's a buddy who's the sort of year above them sort of on the scheme. So they're like a buddy. That always works quite well. They just like that sort of thing, to be honest with you.
They do that too. Another, I think, and we also we're also trialing mentoring. So they have a buddy, but they also have a mentor that is in a different business unit, different profession. Just to give them that sort of different perspective to what they're doing.
Yeah, no, that's really good. But something more positive. So wins, what's gone well this year? Obviously there's been tons of wins, but one thing that sort of really stood out to me was that every recruitment project that we've run this year, D&I has been at the forefront of every single thing we do. Every conversation that I've had with a client, they've said we're doing X, Y, and Z with D&I. I think with neurodiversity becoming such a sort of hot topic this year, it's great to see so many companies doing, I guess, what they should have been doing sort of years ago, but sort of really putting it into action this year. That's been incredible, not this year, I guess, sort of end of last year in this recruitment season. But that's been really good to see. I've been to a few webinars, and one of the big four at a webinar, and they said their plan is not to have a recruitment process where sort of people have to say, oh, I've got an adjustment, please could you just amend this or amend that. It's to make the process all inclusive, so no one's going into it thinking, oh, I need an adjustment. That everyone can go in and it's all inclusive, so whatever adjustment that you have, it doesn't matter, because there's going to be a sort of way around that. I don't know if anyone else has had sort of any D&I goals this year and they think, yeah, do you know what, we've done everything we can to try and hit that, or what you have been doing. I'd be really sort of keen to hear about. So are you doing anything?
Trying to think, actually. I mean, because we've got a separate D&I team, so so we have a lot of initiatives that specifically focuses on that. So our summer internship, and we do an Access Accountancy work experience for Year 13 students. And actually, we entered the Social Mobility Index.
Oh, fantastic!
It was our second year. This one that's just been released. It was really nice to see actually that we jumped 20 spots. So we were really
fantastic.
Really pleased
That's
about
a win.
That.
That's really good.
Yeah, so that was a massive win. So we were very pleased, and now we're thinking, I'm kind of hoping that I think our director's going to turn around and go, yay, let's do it again this year. We're like, oh, it's so much work to fill in.
They always are, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, but it was really nice to see such good feedback and also some really good suggestions of what we can do to make things even better. But yeah, I think that's probably kind of the main things that I can think of that we've been doing. And actually our offers for, so one of the things actually that we've really struggled with, actually is one of the things I've spoken about with Holly, is we've really struggled to get female students in this year.
Females in finance overall is tricky.
Yeah.
I know that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I told when I joined the NEO 3 years ago, and I said, oh, you know, what are your challenges? It was like women in accountancy. I said, I'm not going to lie. I said, I came from HSBC. I said, the program that I did there, didn't matter what we did, what we threw at it, we never went above 25%. And it was just the nature of the program. It was just very male dominated. And similar here. I mean, I was given a 50 target this year, and I kind of sat there with my manager looking at our sort of company leader, and we were like, 50-50. Yeah, you'll be lucky.
Sounds a bit unrealistic. Yeah.
Very unrealistic. We said to him, we will do it, but it will take us some time to get there. So yes, that's a big challenge, but we're doing really well with sort of all of our other diversity in terms of our applicants, which is great.
It's really good. Yeah.
So we've hit those targets. So we just need to do
just the gender thing.
Yeah, gender. Yes.
And as well with any of these things, it doesn't happen overnight. You know, when I have clients come to me say, oh, you know, we've got this D&I goal, how do we reach it by sort of, you know, next year? But none of these things are even going to probably be hit in a year. It is like a longer sort of, it's a piece of work that takes a little bit longer. Especially with a lot of the D&I stuff. We did a D&I review recently for an accountancy firm, and they said, oh, we just can't get any, we really struggle to attract a wide range of sort of ethnic minorities, and we can never sort of target enough females. So we did a D&I review for them. I looked at their website, I said, first thing I've noticed is every single video and picture on your website is of white men. So that's probably the first thing to look at, your marketing. You know, how is that portraying the company? Because, you know, someone who is from a certain ethnic background and is, say, a woman, might not want to apply for that because they think, oh god, I'm gonna, you know, be the only one there that sort of looks like me and sounds like me, sort of thing. It's so tricky, and just making sure all the marketing is diverse, I think, is a really good starting point. A lot of the work we're doing with companies is what we'll do is advertise an event on our website called, say, Women in Finance. So that naturally attracts a lot of female applicants, and then the company will run a event. Obviously anyone is welcome, but where it's called sort of Women in Finance, you naturally just get obviously sort of female applicants, and doing it sort of that way, and then using the pipeline from that event for the scheme. That's always quite a good way around it. But I think D&I is tricky, isn't it? You can't just sort of press a button and just get more sort of female applicants, can you? It's so hard.
Thank you for saying that. We've tried to say this to the exec team, but I think they think it will just happen like that. We're like, no, it won't. It doesn't. I'm going to show him this recording, just that little bit. Like, see?
Ta-da!
We're not just telling you that to shut you up. We're actually being genuinely honest.
And there's no, I think a lot of, I've done it a lot, going to so many webinars to find the answer and try and find what to do to get more. And it's just like, as long as you are doing every single thing you can to reach that audience, you can't force it. It's not, I wish you could, but you can't. It is tricky, but I think every single company I've spoken to this year, I've spoken to hundreds of different companies, big 4 companies, really small companies, everyone struggles with it. I think everyone's in the same boat, and no one's got it right. And I think a lot of companies think, oh, they've got it right, they know what they're doing. No one has got it right. It is really hard. But I think if you're doing everything you can, then that's all you can do, really.
I think I don't know if there's like resources out there that I don't know about, but I feel like it's we've got offices in the US, and like getting data from universities on like D&I and like what programs have like what population of people and that, because I think that's important as well. Like we really struggle with women in economics, but like I can't really tell what like the population is at schools, like what does a class look like and how that's changed over time. And like I don't know if I just don't know where to find that information, but like that's hard as well, because you can't like make your population of, let's say for example, women more if there's no women in those programs. Like
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. So a lot of the data that we use, I'm not sure if any of you have heard of it, HESA. So if you use HESA, they're a higher education stats board. So you can actually see what you just said, Stacey, what subjects and universities in the UK have, say, a heavier female population, heavier male, and lots of other stats. And that is a very good point, actually, because a lot of the stuff that we do, if we send, say, targeted emails out to a certain subject at a certain university where we know there are more females on that course, that's always a really good way of attracting the sort of candidates that you're looking for. That's a very good point, actually. I'll write the URL in this link in the chat function on here if any of you want to have a little look at that.
Perfect, thanks.
Thank you.
No worries. Cool. Conscious of time, but I guess a couple of sort of final points. Is anyone, so I don't know where anyone is in sort of the planning stages of their recruitment process, but is anyone sort of planning the next stage and doing anything particularly different this year to last year, or anything innovative, etc.?
We're rebuilding our program.
That's exciting. Oh, and where's that sort of come about from, Federica?
Well, we basically the first decision is scaling up the program. The CEO strongly believes in graduate hiring and increasing our participation in that. So it started like that, and the fact that we've been hiring graduates now for almost 5 years, and while it has been fairly consistent, it does also change from country to country. So it's hard to kind of keep track of things. So we thought, if we want to scale this up, we need to have a more consistent approach. That of course it's going to have some nuances based on locations, because legal aspects and whatnot. But like the overarching structure needs to be kind of the same for everything, for every place. So that's how it started. Now, yeah, it's going to be launched officially next year. We're currently in the stages. So right now we're doing business as usual for our hiring for 2023. And we're also going to be piloting the new one for a smaller population. So just a couple of business units, restricted locations, just to see how that works. And then, taking the learnings from the pilot to see if that's applicable to the wider program, or we need to kind of tweak some things before we go officially live with the new one.
Fantastic. So I imagine then if you're sort of increasing numbers, you might have to change the actual recruitment process slightly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
no,
that is one of the things that we're looking into.
Yeah, fantastic. That's really good to hear that you're increasing your numbers. What sort of industry do you work in, Federica?
Well, CETA is a tech company in the air transport industry. So it's biometrics, border control, passenger management, Wi-Fi on planes, and all this sort of things. It's not surprised. It's not really well known, even though we've been in the market for over 70 years. But I think it's in the UK. There is another company that it's called in the same way, but they do trash management or something like that. So sometimes I've had candidates talking to me like, "Oh, I thought you were the other ones." Like, no, we're the ATI one. So we're also working on that, on the employer branding piece to make sure that we are more visible, because it's a really cool industry to be a part of.
Yeah,
so,
sounds it.
So yeah.
Real. Is there anything sort of innovative you're doing in terms of the recruitment process? Anything really different?
Currently, not really. With the new program, we're still defining a couple of things. So we will have different interview processes depending on the stream that you're basically joining. So if it's a tech stream, it's going to be one thing. If it's a sales stream, it's going to be a different one. So we're going to be kind of differentiating the processes depending on where you're ending up, and also the level of your level of engagement. So the way we're going to be approaching it is not going to be just graduates. It's going to be multiple levels. There's going to be one that's just for graduates, and then one is for slightly experienced, and so on. So it's gonna so there is a lot of changes happening and things to be organized and decided.
And will that be probably face to face, a lot of it, do you think now? Or do you think virtual?
I think we're gonna keep. I think we're gonna maintain the kind of virtual versus and face-to-face model, because it's like we don't want to necessarily kind of stop ourselves from accessing candidates. Like even now, like last year, we focused mostly on face-to-face, and we lost some candidates in the process because they couldn't make it to the face-to-face interview, which is not ideal because they might have been very good candidates, and just because they couldn't come into the assessment day, we lost them. So now we're kind of, this year we're trying a mix of both to see how that goes. And then we'll see what we land on.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think this hybrid approach is coming in a lot more, because we work with some companies that said they will never go back to a face-to-face assessment day now, but these are companies that hire 150 plus grads per year, so that makes sense. But I think actually the next coffee club I'll be doing a virtual versus face-to-face, what is better and why sort of debate. So it'd be good to obviously have a few of you on that, which I was going to ask actually, just general consensus. Do we think a session like this should be a bi-weekly or weekly or monthly? What, I don't want it to be overkill, but I also want to keep the conversation going. So I don't know if any of you have any sort of points on that. A preference, perhaps.
I think weekly might be a tad too much.
That's what I thought. Yeah. So I've got it as bi-weekly at the moment, but I don't even know if that's too much, unless I sort of do bi-weeklies, and if people are finding it a bit much, we do it monthly, something like that. Do we think bi-weekly is okay for the moment?
Like the idea of bi-weekly.
Yeah. Okie doke.
Especially if there are people so if there are people who come regularly, brilliant, but then there are people that can only dip in and out every now and then, they still get captured and sort of meet other people.
Yeah, I think bi-weekly is great, especially at this time of the year. I think we all have time as graduate recruiters. Us in September to November might be a different
story. Maybe we'll stop it around then.
Yeah, give us a break.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay. Well, just a few final things. Obviously, I know all of you are part of the Graduate Recruiters Network, but as you know, it's run by the GRB Group, which contains Graduate Recruitment Bureau, Cortex, Metrica, and Graduate Mentor. I will be sending round these slides afterwards and a few of the points sort of discussed, just so you all have a sort of reference to it. But thank you all so much for attending. It's been great to have you all here. Obviously, it was our first session today, so it was nice to sort of kick off with a sort of good conversation on the first session. I've put my details on here. If any of you want to discuss any graduate attraction, targeted emails, anything like that, let me know. But yeah, other than that, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your Friday and have a good weekend.